IGN recently ranked all the vanilla Halo 2 maps in a podcast, but with a special twist. They had the originator of those maps who helped create those maps, helped create that online couch co-op experience. Max Hoberman provided his ranking as well. So what we're going to do is look over what Max Hoberman, the original developer of the Halo multiplayer experience, how he ranked those vanilla maps. Then we'll go into what IGN thought, which is always kind of interesting. Mainly just because how do gaming journalists look at Halo's multiplayer compared to the Halo community? Because I don't know how many of you guys remember this gameplay. This was the first look by IGN about the map Streets back in 3 years ago. And you can see the like to dislike ratio wasn't really that well received. It was mainly just because the people who were playing and the gameplay that we were watching was people that were not exactly well versed in Halo gameplay, clearly. But so it'll be interesting to see what they think the good maps of Halo 2 are. If you have any ideas of what you like for your ranking of all the vanilla maps in Halo 2, let me know in the comments and let's get right into it. So we're going to start off with Max Hoberman's rankings, the original developer over at Bungie. If you guys like these reaction videos, make sure to tap like and subscribe and let's get right into it.
I'll go in reverse order. He had Foundation at 12.
Oh, I forgot to also say that Max Hoberman ranked these maps as in what he thought the best maps were at launch before the general public kind of had their opinions on it. So this is strictly like what he thought the best maps were during the development of Halo 2. So starting off with Foundation, yeah, I kind of get it. It wasn't very good.
He says, We remade Thunderdome, a multiplayer level from Marathon, and added it as an Easter egg, unlockable. I wish we'd remade Mars Needs Women instead. I guess that's the name of another Marathon map. That was my favorite from Marathon.
Which, yeah, it's kind of interesting to think like that's such a early gaming experience, right? Early 2000s thing to have like a multiplayer map unlocked secretly unlocked by just completing the campaign, which I didn't even remember that being part of Halo 2. I was there at the launch. I played Halo 2 at launch night. And I probably just didn't even think about it because I usually play the campaign, then the multiplayer. So that's kind of such a weird little hidden nugget that you just don't really see in gaming anymore. We'll see what the next map he says for the second worst map in Halo 2.
At 11, Max has Colossus. He says, gravity lifts are fun, but this map never really did much for me. I honestly can't think of a time I had a blast playing it during development. Apparently it was also super bounce crazy after we shipped. Who knew? Which, of course, because it had that big man cannon there in the back of it.
Ryan, I think you mean super bounce as in like actual super bouncing that was in Halo 2. Somebody did not do their homework. Now I'm just kidding. But Colossus never was a really big fan of that map either. I mainly ended up playing it as 4v4 and really kind of seemed like an awkward 4v4/8v8 map. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I always feel like I always ended up playing sniper or SWAT, and it was always super campy and annoying.
Number 10, Headlong. He says, we slammed this in late after the success of Zanzibar at E3. We felt we needed more asymmetrical single flag CTF maps that supported vehicles and large teams and had a big dynamic element, the crane. It really needed more time in paper design and more tuning than we were able to give it. So it was never my favorite.
That actually shocks me, seeing Headlong being so disliked by Max Hoberman at the time. But I think it's just kind of one of those things where he knows the back end of all the stuff and how the map could have been better than what it actually ended up being. But it ended up being one of the best maps in Halo 2, especially for BTB. It was recently remade in Halo Infinite, right, as a BTB map in Forge because it's a fan favorite. It was remade in Reach as well. Maybe Hoberman likes the Reach version a little bit more, but I don't know. I like Headlong, man. It's a solid map.
Max is number 9. Battle Creek. He says, I felt we had to remake the iconic Beaver Creek from Halo. Then working to improve it was quite a challenge, removing ladders and adding teleporters behind the bases. I think it worked out okay, but honestly, I was already tired of it by the time we got it playable during development. Number 8.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, it's a classic map that you love, but you already made it, but before like remakes, I'm probably just not super excited, in which I could totally see that being a case. But like, come on, that's an iconic map, man.
Burial mounds. He says, we really wanted a map that highlighted the mongoose, which is, of course, the ATV, but we found out it was cut, later came in for Halo 3, and this was supposed to be that map. We tried to salvage it,
Really?
and it had a few moments of fun on base defense games due to its extreme asymmetry, but it would have been much better if we designed it for that. As it was nothing but untapped potential.
That's kind of surprising, thinking that the mongoose was originally kind of like the idea behind this map, which now you think about it after playing Burial Mounds for all these years, you go, actually, like, yeah, like the mongoose would have been amazing on this map, right? Because it's a little too small, I would say, or a little too confined for a warhog, but especially for a tank, definitely no room for that. But it's definitely large enough where you need like some kind of transport vehicle to get across the map, right? Especially for like these attack defend modes, like these asymmetrical flag maps and stuff like that, which was a really big thing that they put in Halo 2 now that you kind of look at all the different maps. But yeah, dude, like Burial Mounds, I always enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid map.
7. And I have to say, his list is not really differing from ours so far.
Like I said, we'll talk about IGN's list, which is kind of always interesting to see how like game journalists view Halo. It's something different in the community for sure.
Number 7, Waterworks. He says, I liked the ambition on this map, but I think the simplicity of the bases and the lack of cover out in the open really hurt it.
Very true.
It's an easy candidate for improvement, in my humble opinion. If only we'd had more time and resources. We were a tiny multiplayer content team, just me and Chris Carney originally, and then Cotton, I don't remember Cotton's first name, joined us halfway through. So yes, 3 people made all these amazing Halo 2 multiplayer maps.
Wild to think that just 3 people basically made all the maps in Halo 2. More like 2.5, really, in the way he phrased it, which is just kind of wild to think that like nowadays compared to like how development is, like that would just not even be close. It takes 3 people just to like art a map, you know, much less actually just do everything. But that's kind of how game development was back in the day, man. But yeah, Waterworks was cool. I mean, I definitely like the like interactive elements with the stalactites kind of falling down. That was always kind of neat. It never really was that beneficial or useful in gameplay, but if you could make it work, it was pretty sick.
Wow.
Number 6, he has Ivory Tower. This map was a mosh pit of sorts where we tested out a lot of assault games in particular, and that's what I recall most. But we had fun Slayer and Oddball and other games on it too. Plus, I named it after our nickname for Marty's, meaning Marty O'Donnell, Marty's audio space / office, which was a constant sore point for him. So it got extra points. Ivory Tower. That's funny.
Yeah, we should.
That's funny. I did not know about the little side information about that. But Ivory Tower, I don't know. I always felt the map was kind of meh. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I know some people really like Ivory Tower. I just never really been a big fan of it. I always felt it was just basically like King of the Hill without like an objective, because people kept just trying to fight for that upper hallway area. But it's kind of iconic though.
Change it on our list too. Let's be honest.
All right, here's the Max Hoberman top 5, the multiplayer lead designer on Halo 2. Number 5, he has Midship. I designed this map.
Hold up, no, I can't. Max, I mean, like maybe it's just like the artist can't recognize the art or something like that. But Midship number 5, brother. Come on, man. Like it's Midship. I need to hear this explanation.
2v2 CTF games. Carney helped improve it massively, and it took on a life of its own, especially in competitive circles. Of course, it was at its best when it had more players on it than was originally targeting. Number 4,
Okay,
Ascension.
that's actually kind of interesting to think about. Okay, well, sorry about that. We'll rewind out a little bit there. But yeah, originally it's supposed to be a 2v2 map. Again, like this is something that is kind of a holdover from classic game development, because back then you had to take in consideration that not everyone would be able to be playing online in a typical 4v4 situation. So you had to design some maps for co-op or like a couch co-op kind of experience, right? Because LAN parties back then were massive back in the development of classic Halo days, especially like Halo 1 became incredibly popular because you would get all your buddies in the neighborhood together, sit on the couch and just be playing Blood Gold CTF until your eyes were red, you know, because that's how gaming was back then. So you had to design a few maps specifically for like offline play, couch kind of play, right? Like that's kind of why I think like that's the original idea of midship, which like think about it now, like yeah, 2v2 is kind of the proper size, but like 4v4 is just really chaotic, but like in a really good way. And so, and also became one of the most iconic, if not the most necessary free-for-all map out of in the entirety of Halo. Like free-for-all doesn't feel the same if there isn't midship, and it's probably the most remade map in the Halo franchise. So, but five, dude, what are you doing with this, man? Like, come on, I understand, like maybe just like the artist not appreciating the art as much because he, probably likes something else a little bit more, but like, come on, man. Like you knew you're working, you're making some magic happen when you're making midship.
Number 4, Ascension. A map that blends tight quarters combat with distance sniping and banshees? Why not? This was definitely a unique map, and while it had some issues, I have very fond memories of playtests on it during development. Plus, Joseph Staten and Buttkiss, I don't know the first name on that developer either, went head-to-head on it with snipers every single day for at least a year. They were clearly having fun.
We're the same on.
Ascension, like, that's a classic map. Like, remember when they showed off MCC at E3? Like, this is back when they had the iconic line of, just as it shipped 10 years ago, which definitely was not the case for sure. But this, I forgot all about like these live gameplay demos you used to see at E3. So they were such an awkward, weird thing to like do live on stage. Like first of all, like no one even likes watching actual gameplay of people playing. Like they rather just play it themselves, unless it's like on Twitch for a personality kind of thing. But it's like, no, just like show us some like cool like scripted moments that like you would expect to have within the experience of playing. Like I get like trying to be like playing in real time, no smoke and mirrors BS, right? Like classic Halo 2 was back in 03, right? With that E3 demo. But like, oh god, this is a lost, awkward art of E3 presentations and gaming presentations as a whole, man. But yeah, there's a reason why they showed this map for the Halo 2 anniversary, because like it's one of the most iconic maps ever made in Halo.
Single day for at least a year, they were clearly having fun.
We're the same on that one.
Max Hoberman's top 3. This one's for you, Destin. His number 3 is Coagulation.
I mean, I know, like Coag, man, like I would put that as 1, but that's because I'm a Blood Gulch fanboy, like stan all the way, whatever you want to refer to it as. But like 3, it's like, okay, you're just getting down to just like subjective preferences at that point, but at least it's up there,
He says, yes, this is a remake of Blood Gulch, but we remade it for a reason. The original was simply the most iconic big open vehicle sandbox, mildly asymmetrical, and with 2 bases to boot for big team CTF battles. This complemented our smaller, tighter, no vehicle maps perfectly. Plus, I think we did a good job of staying true to the original while still improving it, and I could not agree with Max more on that.
I agree too. Like Coagulation is like the superior version of Blood Gulch, but like Blood Gulch, like it's such an iconic map that it had to be remade. I mean, there's even iconic memes like this where boys became men. It happened at Blood Gulch.
Well, we're down to Zanzibar or Lockout.
Okay, Zanzibar or Lockout. Personally, I'd go Lockout number 1, and in Zanzibar, that's maybe a top 5 for me, but okay, we'll see what Max says when it comes to between Zanzibar or Lockout. Which one's number 1?
I don't know where he put it.
Yeah, same.
Max's number 2 is Zanzibar.
Okay. I can agree with that.
We planned this. He says we planned this and executed on it in record time in preparation for E3 when we learned that we were going to have to carry the show, and we didn't have anything we felt was impressive enough.
Jeez.
But think about that. Before I read the rest of this, how funny is that story that they were like, oh, we're the stars of Xbox's E3. The maps we have so far aren't that great. Let's make something new. And they churned out a classic super quickly.
Under pressure.
Unbelievable. He says,
that's some of the things that also like kind of like, it also just kind of comes with just like creation in general. Like when your feet are to the fire and you just got to put something together, and sometimes with limitations comes innovation, right? Or some kind of something special out of it. Like the White Stripes singer, Jack White, I believe, like referred to it as like saying like, since you have so much limitations of just being like the vocalist, guitar, and drums, you gotta find creative ways to fill out the sound. So like it could be one of those things where like such a limited amount of time and you have to make something, you know, that like put in your feet to the fire. Sometimes it can actually create some goals right there for you.
I doubled down on single flag CTF with this dedicated map that supports both close quarters combat and vehicles, and many of my fondest memories in Halo 2 playtests were on it.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then like I remember like there was like a lot of like I remember like scrolling through like online images or like images like when I would go to like a GameStop of just like what Zanzibar was. Like, man, you remember like Game Informer? Rest in peace, by the way. But like this Halo 2 Game Informer, dude, like I remember just like going into like a GameStop or like a Target or whatever store had the magazine, right? And I'd just sit there, open it up, I'd just stare at these images like, wow, this is so cool. Like, well, these situations would be so crazy to play. Like, they're so incredibly like scripted and like pieced together, right? Like this guy's just standing here, but I was like, that looks so cool, you know. But that's what gaming was like back in the day. Like you needed like these publications out there to really kind of put the word out there, like what your stuff was all about. And why was it so awesome? But like just all these iconic images, man. Like this is just giving me like so many major hits and nostalgia just looking at this like simple screenshot like this were like amazing back in the day, man. All right, Max, what you have to say about Lockout, the GOAT?
Of course, Lockout.
Fantastic map.
He says our first and our best, the undisputed king. We played this continuously throughout development.
Excuse me, undisputed king? I mean just in Halo 2 maps alone, I think there's a little bit of disputation that should happen, but okay, let's get back into it.
And I never got tired of it ever. So, Max, thank you for putting this together.
I like how you put like that is number one. He's just like, it's just really good. Like, case closed. Now, in the same podcast, IGN did put together their top 12 list, but they kind of just like was really messy about how they went about like coming up with the list here. So I'll summarize the whole like 20-minute bit in like a couple minutes for you here. 12 for them was Burial Mounds, then Foundation, Headlong, Colossus, Waterworks, Ivory Tower, Coagulation at 6. Are you serious right there? Beaver Creek, Ascension, Midship, Zanzibar, and Lockout. I mean, like really like after 6, it's like, it's kind of up to personal preference at that point, really. It's like all these maps are such iconic maps that like have been remade multiple times over within the Halo franchise. But like, I mean, personally, I put Coagulation at 6, but like I said, I'm a bit of a fanboy when it comes to Bully Gulch. I mean, personally, what I would do, I would definitely switch out Zanzibar. I'm not the biggest fan of that map. I'll probably mix it out with Coagulation right there. Like, so actually, we'll switch that out. Put Coagulation at the top, because like I said, I am a total fanboy when it came to that map. I'd probably like Midship over Lockout personally. Ascension, Beaver Creek, Zanzibar, Ivory Tower, the Colossus. Like, now I'll probably put Foundation below Burial Mounds, just because, like I said, Foundation, pretty weak map right there. But honestly, like, that's kind of what I would think, like off the top of my head, right? We'll change this also to the Kevin Cool X map tiers. But yeah, so that's what I would put there for my list of Halo 2 maps. But yeah, well, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Catch you on the next one. Peace out.